Hi everybody, welcome to TADTalk. Here we are again. This is going to be fun. Today is a special day, important day, November the 3rd, 2020. It's election day. About 24 hours, well no, maybe about 12 hours from now, hopefully, we're going to know who's going to be in that office for the next 4 years. But we're going to give you a little break from that and have something really interesting and something really funny. I'm with Nick again today. How are you?
I'm good. How are you
You're
doing?
wearing the same shirt as me. What's the deal?
I'm not wearing the same shirt as you. This is a few sizes smaller.
Very funny. Well, today's guest, Emma Bache, you may not know the name, but boy, I think you're all going to be out jumping on Amazon after this and buying this book. It's called Reading Between the Lines, but just check out this little video. Well, you may not know much about that book from that video, but you are by the end of the show. Welcome to our show, special guest, Emma Bache. Emma, how are you?
I'm very well indeed, and it's lovely to see you.
It's good to see you. It's welcome to Election Day. You didn't vote, but of course you can't. Special
no,
day.
I can't. No, but we're all we're all on tenterhooks over here.
Yeah, us too. Do you know what tenterhooks means? You have no clue.
Is that what they, like in England, they hang the meat on those hooks in the bakeries, and then they like scrape it off, and that's what they give you. Those are the hooks they hang the meat on.
Emma, do you know what tenterhooks are?
Well, actually, I hope I'm right. I think you're sort of along the right lines, but it's got nothing to do with meat. I think it's a material. I think tenterhooks was holding material. Listen, you're going to get a whole load of viewers saying that woman's mad and she's completely wrong and doing something else.
Well, I don't claim I have no clue what tenterhooks are, but we are all on tenterhooks. We hope to know. But enough of that. We're going to start TED Talk as we always do with one completely random question from Nick.
Yes. So, my question is, if you could go back and relive 1 year of your life, what year would that be?
Gosh, what year would it be? I think it would probably be 16. And the reason is because I would have 2 more years at school and I'd work much harder than I did. And yeah.
Nice.
I'd work harder at school and my life might have been very different from it is now. But I think, I think when I was 16, I'd go back.
All right.
Nice. What would you say?
I knew you were going to ask me. Well, I think the obvious answer is I'd just go back to 2020, which is this year.
You would relive this year?
Yeah.
What's wrong
well,
with you?
Well, you say relive it and change it, or just relive it?
Well, you couldn't, how would you change it? Would you just go?
Gotcha. Okay, so you can't change it.
You could change what you did.
Yeah. Well, the soppy answer is I'd go back to 1993 when you were born.
And you would change that?
No. Well, maybe today. So that, or maybe go back to 1999 and watch Manchester United win the European Cup again. What about you? What year would you like to relive?
I would love to go back and relive just one of the years of high school.
Yeah?
Yeah. I don't know why. I just feel like it would be, I wasn't cool, and it would be cool to be cool.
Okay.
But is it cool to be cool? I don't know, actually. I think cool is the new uncool, isn't it? Really, a little bit.
Yeah, actually, you could be right. Yeah.
I think I'm right in the middle there.
What I do know is his fiance is offset scowling at him now because he didn't choose one of the years where he met her.
Well, because I wouldn't want to change anything because every moment with her has been perfect so far.
Oh, good answer.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, our special guest is Emma Bache, and this is going to be fun. Emma is one of the world's leading graphologists. What do? Well, they analyze handwriting. They read this stuff, and they tell you what this person is all about, and I can't wait. But let's find out a little bit about Emma first. Emma, where were you born, and tell us about your early life.
Well, I was born in the Midlands, in the middle of the UK, somewhere called Wolverhampton, which is part of the Black Country and is part of our the UK's industrial past. So I was born there, and that's probably one of the reasons why I long to be near the sea now, because that's what I was deprived of when I was little. But anyway, I grew up in a relatively happy family, I think. I was the youngest of three girls, and I originally wanted to be an actress. And anyway, that didn't happen. I became a graphologist because a friend of mine said, would you like to do a graphology course? And I just did a weekend with her, loved it, so found myself a tutor and studied for 3 years. And here I am, really.
Wow, it's really interesting, you know. I was actually going to give something away. I'll use that at the end of the show. I was going to say something about my handwriting. But one thing I do know is that my handwriting has changed dramatically from my early years. And I think it changed in the middle of my life. And as I get towards this part of my life, it's changed again. Is that normal?
Well, it is, and it's a question that's often asked me. You know, they'll say, well, my handwriting's very different from what it was 10 years ago. The thing is, when I'm analysing someone's personality through the handwriting, it's how they are right now. And we change as we go through life, and we're born partly nature, partly nurture, and that's sort of our personality. But we evolve as we get older because things happen to us, people happen to us. And we change and we grow. But even on a daily basis, I can tell how somebody is, whether they're happy or sad, or even if they've maybe had a glass of wine, which is why don't have a glass of wine just before you write for a graphologist. And it's it's an ever-evolving thing. And actually, for me, what's quite interesting is looking at handwriting. Writing change, considering who the person is writing to, because they will feel differently within them. So it will have an effect on not just what they say in the letter, but actually how they write it.
Interesting.
How relaxed they are.
I have a question, actually.
Yeah.
Looking behind you, looking at that picture with all of those little markings and stuff like that. Honestly, to me, it just looks like dashes and stuff. I have no clue what I'm sure you'll explain it to us as the show goes along, what all those mean. But when, let's say, is there a different skill? Is there a different skill set when it comes to people who are right-handed or left-handed or maybe even ambidextrous? Is there a different routine that you need to go through in order to find out about that person based on which hand they use?
That's a really good question, because there are three things that a graphologist cannot tell, and that's the gender of the person, whether they're right or left-handed, and what's the third one? I can't even remember. How old they are. But right or left-handed, first of all, I can't tell by looking at someone's handwriting whether they're right or left. Obviously, I've just said that. But sometimes I'm not told because the person who sends me the handwriting doesn't know either, so I can't deal with it. But the way that we're taught to write in the Western world is with a slight right slant, which would be quite normal for somebody who's right-handed. But for somebody who's naturally left-handed, it doesn't feel so normal. So they might have a slight left slant. And the slant of the handwriting does actually indicate to me what their emotional state is like. So if I see somebody with a severe left slant and they're left-handed, it isn't necessarily the same result as if somebody was right-handed, if that makes sense. So it's a really good question, and it doesn't make any difference to the writer, to the author, the handwriting, but it does make a difference to me.
Wow.
Interesting.
That's awesome.
It really is. You know, let's get into some handwriting. We've got, I'm going to do this in two sections. Before the break, I know that you've got a couple of our presidential candidates there. Let's look at that analysis. And then when we come back after the break, I actually sent you these things that 4 of our people wrote. So that's going to be interesting. But tell us about President Trump and Vice President Biden. What have we...
Well, here's some Trump writing here. Now, what's interesting about Trump and what's really good about Trump, from my point of view, is that he writes a lot. So there's lots of samples of his handwriting. So it's not a problem looking for something which is in the public domain. Now, when you look at it there, and in fact, when you look at his handwriting, which is any time, it's always been written with the same thick black pen, which denotes very much a sensuality to the handwriting. This is a man who enjoys the physical, whether it's eating. I don't think he drinks, actually, does he? But the sort of physical, sexual side of life is quite important to him, however we might feel about that.
I think Stormy Daniels might agree with that too.
But anyway, he has got other skill sets, actually. Now, just looking at his signature there, it actually looks more like a cardiogram, doesn't it, than a signature, because it's all angles. It's very sort of straight angles. It would be very hard for your average person to reproduce that. And the angular stroke denotes somebody who has analytical ability, critical ability, but they're not very emotional. They don't use their emotions and their feelings in life. It's all about what is there and what isn't there, and the practicality of the thing. Now, in the main body of the writing there's also, he prints a lot, and most of this little sample is printed. But there's the angles there as well, and a few arcades. If you think of arcades as like a bridge going over, and then a garland is going under, like a. If you see, let me just see what I would say. It says "it was my," and if you see the W, that's 2 garlands together. But generally, he is very much an angular writer. So he analyzes everything, and I know the way he comes over sometimes is somebody who just says something without thinking. But his handwriting says something else. It actually says that, however off the cuff some of his comments and tweets appear to be, he's thought about it carefully beforehand. He knows what to say or do to make an impression. Now, it might be the wrong impression, and I'm sure 50% or at least of your nation are going to, this evening say that. But nevertheless, that's the way it is. He's an analyzer. He's a very sharp businessman, but he's by no stretch of the imagination is he a people person or an empath.
Interesting. Wow, that is so interesting. This is great to be able to do this on today.
This is cool.
It really is. I've already voted, so you can't sway me. But
well, I hope so. It's the day.
It's true. What about Vice President Biden?
Okay, now Biden. It's harder to find things that he's written, but because he writes less. But there is some of his writing there. Hopefully, you can see it now. Biden has a few angles as well. If you look for the letter F, it says keep the faith at the end, and there are a few other Fs. Can you see there's like a triangle stroke at the bottom?
Yeah.
That's somebody who's stubborn. He wants his own way, whatever his outward demeanour is. He's stubborn. He will dig his heels in. He'll dig his heels in. But whereas Trump's writing, there was a regularity to it. So Trump likes routine. He doesn't like being told what to do. But Biden here, it's actually quite irregular. And he's more of a deep thinker. He feels things quite strongly. He's very sensitive. But I think he is stubborn. And he does like to have his own way. And he's more likely to change his mind over things. Donald Trump, you'll never change his mind. When he's set on something, that's it. Biden is somebody who will vacillate more.
Wow.
But actually, you've got the same, he's written with a slightly different pen, but there's still that inky, pasty, do you know what I mean? Quite a broad stroke. So this is another sensual man.
Interesting.
Wow.
Two sensual men running for the president, leader of the free world.
Not together, hopefully.
Yes, not together.
That's another whole scandal.
I bet the handwriting would change then.
Remember, you heard that first from me.
We're going to take a short break. While we take the break, do yourself a favor, jump on Amazon and put this book over there. Let me see, it's there. Reading Between the Lines. It's a fascinating book from Emma Bache with all kind of stuff, including some analyzing some handwriting from serial killers. So that would be interesting. Our break is about a minute. Don't go away. Come back. When we come back, we're going to be analyzing the handwriting of a few people here at TAD. Don't go away. We'll see you in a second.
Welcome to TAD Creative Studios, Arizona's state-of-the-art creative facility. We are a turnkey operation, so you're not wasting any time on setup. Simply show up and start rehearsing or recording. We offer our on-the-fly video switching and editing, meaning you can walk away with the edited footage the very same day. We can come to your location, and our setup is ready-made for indoors and outdoors. Our 30-foot LED video wall provides the perfect backdrop for bands and entertainers. The results are amazing. Create your next YouTube presentation on our multifunction interview set. Over 20 years experience creating and producing the most effective scissor reels in the market. TAD Creative Studios. Check it out for yourself.
And we're back once again with part 2 of TAD Talk with Emma Bache. This is going to be fun, this side of the show. They're going to analyze some of our TAD peeps. Let's see what we're all about. Emma, how are you?
I'm very well. So I've got the 4 handwritings here. So shall we start with you've all written Mary Had a Little Lamb.
Yes,
okay,
it's the only one we knew.
Yeah, well, exactly. Okay, so I'm gonna first one here. Can you see that?
Yes, we can.
Okay, so it's a bit difficult for me to sit and read, so I might just say Okay, you can see that. Okay, so this person is very intuitive. And the reason why I'm saying that is because most of their letters are disconnected. Can you see that?
Yeah.
And the more disconnected the handwriting, the more intuitive they are. So they rely on ideas and thoughts seemingly coming from nowhere. And sometimes they get it right, sometimes they get it wrong. But logic doesn't always come into it. But it makes them more sensitive. And it makes them sensitive to how other people feel and whatever. Sometimes they can be a little bit oversensitive because they feel as though they've said something wrong or done something wrong, or other people have done the same and they've slightly got it wrong. So with this person, you need to be careful how you deal with them. But on the other hand, they've got a good grasp about the world about them. It's quite large handwriting, so they're likely to come across as quite extrovert, quite confident. When I talk about the upper zone, I'm talking about the sort of the top bits of the L's and the H's and the T's, and they are actually quite high, which means there's a pride about this person. They could be religious, but not necessarily religious, but they have their own very strong sense of morality, which they stick to. But they will call a spade, which is a bit of a British expression, but they will just say it how it is. And again, a little bit like how we were talking about Donald Trump and Biden, actually, both quite stubborn. So this person's quite stubborn as well, but at least you'll know how you stand with them. They're not overwhelmed by fantasy or emotion that doesn't really make any sense. They are very much grounded in the real world.
I'm going to interrupt you there. I am absolutely gobsmacked and flabbergasted at how you just nailed that person, Emma. I'm not going to tell you who it is, but I'm like, are you shitting me? Okay, good. So without giving anything away, and let's the next one.
Okay, so so this next one, which is on the same sheet of paper, can we see that there?
Yeah.
Now this is a much speedier handwriting. Can you see how it's in direct contrast to the first one? All the letters are joined up, aren't they? So this is somebody who's more logical. Ideas come to them. There should be a set pattern. They like routine. It's very regular. And can you look at? Can you see his fleece was? You've got those strokes that lead into the word, which aren't necessary, but they've left them in. They've put them in, and that's how they will have been taught to write. This is somebody who doesn't like surprises. They really like to know where they stand in the world. And this would be the person that you go to for advice, because they've just, there's something very calm, even sort of looking at this writing. But they're nobody's fool. They're highly intelligent, but they don't get overly excited about things. They're very grounded. The regularity really goes through their life. But if you look at the capital M of Mary, that last stroke, it does dig itself into the ground. So they're not going to be conned by other people. And also the spaces between the individual words are quite large, which means that they're happy to work on their own. They're good with people, they understand others, but they're also very happy to work on their own, and they'd always need some space in the day to themselves as well. They're very well balanced.
Wow, am I being punked here or something? Seriously, am I being punked? Because this is eerily close. All right, we got
good. Okay, so is that all right? Shall I go on to the next?
Yeah. Yes, please. Emma, okay, you're amazing.
The next Mary had a little lamb. Can we see that?
Yeah.
See that there? Okay. Now, first of all, can you see the spaces between the words are smaller? Yeah. This is somebody who enjoys the company of other people. In fact, they don't really like being on their own. Now, they've chosen to write on lined paper. So, again, they're somebody who likes to know where they stand. They don't... they're not somebody who you want to surprise with something, whether it's really a good thing or a bad thing, because regularity is important to them. It's also, the slant is quite upright, so they can come across as very friendly, emotional, very warm, and they are warm up to a point, but they also, their head rules their heart. So there's a practicality to this person, and they would always choose the thinking over the feeling, but they're certainly not cold. And they've got a good sense of humour, actually. They've got a good sense of humour, and they're hardworking, and they really, they need others for support, emotional support, and in a working environment, they're very much a team player.
Oh,
so that's not me.
Yeah, it's crazy. All right, we've got one more. Then we're going to find out who wrote these.
This is quite interesting, actually. So, all right, well, you're all interesting. Obviously, you're all interesting. Right, so this one, can we see that?
Yeah.
Now, can you remember what I was saying before about the disconnected and the connected? Yeah. Now, this person has got a little bit of both. But actually, what's fascinating about it is some of the connection strokes are very light. So when you first glanced at it, it looks as though it's disconnected. So you think, oh, this person is sort of intuitive and quite spiritual, which they are. But actually, there's a logic to them as well. Now, I want you to look at, pretend there's a baseline. Pretend that there was a lines that they were writing on. can you see that it's quite up and down, isn't it? It's not straight at all. And in fact, sometimes the each word starts slightly lower than the one before. It's called tiling. If you read my book, it'll talk about it. But this is somebody who they're very, very sensitive, okay? They're very emotional. They feel things very deeply, very deeply. And sometimes they can feel a bit down, a bit disappointed with life, but they're very, very good at not showing it. And they're very good at thinking, oh, this isn't so good, but I'll pick myself up, I'll carry on. And so they're always sort of battling with their own feelings, really. But this is somebody who I think has been through quite a lot in their life and has learnt to deal with the good and the bad in their life. And obviously this is a photocopy that I'm looking at, and so I can't feel the pressure. And the pressure of the pen tells me about vitality, a little bit about health, but energy. But what I can tell from the strokes here, that the pressure is quite uneven. So it goes from quite deep pressure, quite firm pressure, to something much lighter. And that really shows in their energy levels as well. Their energy levels go up and down, really along with how they feel about things. So it's there's a huge sensitivity to this person. Interesting.
Are you blown away?
So who's crying?
It's amazing, Emma. All right, so let's keep the fun going. Let's find out who is emotional,
yes.
sensitive, and who's boring and intellectual.
I said anyone was boring, did I?
No, you didn't. No, you didn't. So the first one, and of course, Emma, you don't know any of us really before today.
No,
but a lot of our viewers know all these people.
Okay.
So the first one at the top there, just remind us again, because I know one of the things you said about this person being very sensitive and...
Well, this person's very intuitive, and they're sort of, they're quite stubborn but good at analysis with things, and not particularly logical, but...
Yes, you nailed him. You nailed him. It's Nick.
Good, well, you didn't give anything away when I was analysing.
I'm not logical in the slightest, so that is correct.
And there's something you picked up on there. They said something about the creative aspect and going for things and creating things, and some of them work and some of them don't. But
and it's like you grab ideas from nowhere. So somebody might say to you, well, where did you get that from, and why do you feel like that? And you probably say, well, I've just got the feeling about it, that this is what I think.
That's great.
I've got a hunch about this.
I usually just say I come up with an excuse of why I thought of it, but in my head I'm thinking that. I don't know where it came from.
Great. The next one.
So the next one here is slightly the reverse of that. Can you remember? Very, very. Can you get that on the screen? Is that right?
We got
very,
it.
Very connected, and you've got those lead-in strokes and very logical.
Yeah, logical.
See that there?
I think you said highly intellectual, didn't you?
Did I?
I think you said a high intelligence or a very intellectual.
They are intelligent. I mean, they're not. When you say highly intellectual, that often goes with somebody who can't deal with people as well. But this person is definitely a people person, and they like regularity in their life, and they don't like discord. They like things to be safe.
Well, you have just nailed his fiancée, Julia. That's who that is.
Well, good. Well, actually, I do compatibility. Sounds like caterpillar. I do compatibility as well. And actually, you two are very compatible because you both got what the other person doesn't. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's great.
It's sometimes being too alike isn't a good thing.
Yeah. That's fantastic.
Oh, that's awesome.
Close, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of weird. Julia, how do you feel about that?
That's freaky.
That's freaky.
Freaky, she said.
There's Julia behind the scenes. And yeah.
Oh, hang on, she's just taken her engagement ring off. Don't know what that means.
That's
Sorry
awesome.
about that.
All right, the next one.
Okay, this next one was the one who had written on lined paper, so they liked order and routine in their life, and there you go. And the space, what did I say? Yeah. And it was the spaces were quite close together there, and it's very regular, so they don't like surprises. And
That's really that. So that's my wife, Anne. That's my wife's handwriting, and it's on that you said. What was the thing you said? That she's got a great sense of humor, and she has.
Yeah, she's got a good sense of humor. Yes, she has.
The best
she has
sense
got a good
of humor.
Sense of humor. And also, actually, what I didn't say before is that she's quite chatty as well. If you look at the last word "go" there, the G isn't closed up as it would normally be. You know, she likes. She's a great communicator.
Yeah, no, she is. The only part I didn't quite understand with her was about her wanting others around her, you know, all of that, where she's actually very comfortable with being on her own. But I also think that when you have a group, but when you have a group of people, she's the life of the party. And talking about sense of humor, she actually wrote it here. I don't know if you can see that, but she also wrote the other side. And why are you writing it twice? And the other side said, Mary had a little lamb. It chewed up all the bedding, so she took it down the garden path and kicked its effing head in. That's what she had.
Love her already.
So that's what she wrote. All right, well, we know what the last one is, so tell me about me.
Yeah, well, the last one is really interesting. You've got this shading, you've got the thick pressure, the thin pressure, so they're highly sensitive, and they can feel quite down about things sometimes, but they're very good at picking themselves up. And they feel very deeply.
Well, the two things that jumped out for me that are right is the sensitivity, and then Anne and Nick will tell you, I mean, very, very sensitive. But was the ups and downs and not showing it, because it's kind of my job as well, but it's me anyway. Try to keep things on an even keel, even though everything's like this, especially in 2020.
Crazy.
That's. I mean, it's impressive and freaky, and
Thank you.
One of our guests a month or two ago was June Field, one of the world's leading psychics, and she did the same thing to me on a different kind of thing, where she was telling me about my mom, which was so close. And this has done the same thing to me. It's great, Emma. So getting serious for a second, there's obviously a skill that you have. Did it take a long time to learn this?
I did a 3-year course, so I did train for 3 years. The reason why I got into this in the first place is because I'm interested in people more than I am things. I mean, I know maybe everybody would say that, but I'm interested in the psychology of people. And so I think if I didn't have that strong interest, I probably wouldn't be doing the job I'm doing. I think of myself as quite intuitive, but I'm certainly not psychic. So it is a skill that I had to learn and study. But I love people, and slightly more recently, from when I trained as a graphologist, I actually did a training as a psychotherapist and a hypnotherapist as well. So if a client's giving me a lot of jip, I just hypnotise them. But, 3, 2, 1, you're back in the room. But psychotherapy I really took up because so often I was being asked not just what the person was like or what they were like, but why they behaved in a certain way. And I'd think, oh gosh, I don't really know. So I felt that I had to find that bit out as well. And it's really helped me to, I think, become more of a holistic graphologist and see it from all angles. But I'm really fascinated with what lies beneath the obvious
Wow, that's
It's
so
really,
cool.
so-
I do have a question because you mentioned a little earlier in her book, which I'm definitely going to buy. You did a lot on serial killers' handwriting. You stepped into that field and you looked at multiple serial killers and analyzed their handwriting just like you analyzed ours.
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask you, based on the 4 pieces of handwriting that you just looked at, who is closest, in your opinion, to a serial killer?
Listen, as I haven't received money from any of you, I'm not sure that I'm not going to go down it.
I know the answer.
Listen, none of you. Actually, on a serious note, the real psychopath is very rare, and I'm just trying to think about my professional life, about sort of parties or events that I've worked at. I've met some people that I think, gosh, I wouldn't want to spend much time alone with you in a room or whatever. But I don't think I've ever just come across a psychopath. I mean, in my book, I have analysed Ted Bundy's writing and Manson's writing, and I can't remember who else. Actually, I'll have to have a look. But I mean, you know, they're one-offs, really.
Yeah.
One-offs. And of course, not all serial killers are psychopaths. I mean, most of them are, but actually, all serial killers are psychopaths, but not all killers are psychopaths.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's wild.
People kill for reasons, you know.
This is Emma Bache, and the book is Reading Between the Lines. And if you found this show interesting, you should definitely get it. It's fascinating to me, and firsthand to be able to look at that. I know Emma got these. I emailed these to Emma about 15, 30 minutes before the show. Fascinating. We have a 16-hour flight coming up this Friday from LA to Dubai, and I am taking this book on that flight. I can tell you, that's for sure.
Absolutely.
It's called Reading Between the Lines. It's available on Amazon and all the good book stores in the UK. Also, you can get it from there. And this is fascinating.
I wanted to ask a question, if we still have time to ask it. I'm interested because obviously with you taking a 3-year course, I'm assuming you learned a lot about the origins of how this whole graphology started. And if you could give us an insight of who figured out, or what was the process when this whole graphology was figured out?
Well, it's been around a long time, and actually the Italians and the Germans tend to argue, I mean, not on a daily basis, obviously, but they did argue as to who the first graphologist was. But the first sort of recorded analysis of a personality through a handwriting was somebody who was analysing Julius Caesar's handwriting, actually.
Wow.
And I can't remember the name of the person, I can't remember if I put it in my book, but they refer to traits that they feel shown up in their handwriting. But basically, I think it certainly was actually the Germans who correlated and wrote down different traits of handwriting that they noticed came up over and over again, and then with the personality trait that it went along with it. Ideally, any graphologist in the world, given the same piece of handwriting, should give pretty much the same analysis.
Wow.
So it's been well documented for quite a long time, but in the Western world, we're quite slow to give these things credence. But on the other hand, I work for a lot of companies and help with recruitment and things. So it's
Fabulous.
That's
fabulous.
amazing.
Well, we found out what you do. We're now going to find out a little bit more about you as we go towards the end of the show. You don't know what we're doing right now, so this will be interesting. We just ask you some random questions. Many of them are either or, and we just try to find out a little bit about you. Now, don't forget, it's election day here, and we are not going to ask you Trump or Biden. That will not be one of the either ors. But we are going to ask you simple either or questions. So here's the first one. Dogs or cats?
dogs.
Nice. Beatles or Rolling Stones?
Beatles.
Correct.
Boiling hot weather or freezing cold weather?
Freezing cold.
Really?
Pineapple
Only
on...
because I can put more clothes on, you know. That's the thing.
True.
Pineapple on pizza, yes or no?
No.
Oh. Fish and chips or good curry?
Good curry. Although I like fish and chips as well. You know.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. I don't know. Tea or coffee?
Coffee.
Your 20s or your 40s?
Ooh. 20s just.
Okay.
Graphology or acting?
Graphology. Well, luckily.
The eldest sister or the middle sister?
Middle sister.
Okay.
Stepping away from either or, this is a question I like to ask a lot of people when they come on. It's just I love it. Let's say the Earth flooded once again, and you were tasked with getting on the Ark and housing 2 of every animal, but the Ark was built a little bit too small, and now you're tasked with picking an animal to sacrifice and just
Snakes.
go... Snakes? I didn't even need to finish the question. Just...
I have got complete irrational phobia of snakes. So, without a doubt, snakes. In fact, it dictates where I travel in the world.
Really?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Well, we won't see you in Arizona anytime soon.
All over.
I know. I do think about it, actually. It's like,
And our final
do you see
question.
snakes a lot?
And our final question of the show, gets deep, and we'll learn a lot about our guests when we ask this. So here's a question. Emma, if you could spend the next 60 minutes with any 2 people, and this could be dead or alive, it could be people in your family, people you've known, it could be historical figures or celebrity, any 2 people, and go anywhere in the world with them, who would you like to spend the next hour with? Where are you going to go? And what are you going to talk about?
Oh, my God.
I know, we don't...
Okay, I'm going to leave out boyfriend, friends, family. Do you know what I mean? So don't get pissed off at anybody. Okay, so let's think. God, I'm allowed 2 people, am I?
2 people, anywhere in the world.
I'd probably like to go to the Maldives because it's somewhere I'd like to visit again. It's very peaceful and calm and everything else. Now, the 2 people I'd take with me, gosh. Let me think. I'd probably take Stephen Fry because he'd make me laugh.
Yes.
And he's clever. And the second person, I don't know, let's say Aristotle. You know, I can have philosophical conversations. I think the 2 of them would get on very well as well. So, you know, be a little bit of a trio. All
right. Nice. And the final part of that question, you're in the Maldives and you sat in a restaurant and there's you, Stephen, and Aristotle, and you're starting the conversation. What are you going to talk about?
I think I'd say, look, guys, who's paying for this? Because if it's not me, I'm having a starter.
And I'm having a starter. I like it. This is good. What a great show. This has been phenomenal, hasn't it?
Oh, awesome.
It's
awesome.
Emma Bache, and the book is Reading Between the Lines. And I'm serious. I'm going on. We're going on this long 16-hour flight. We're buying those books, and we're gonna. What this fascinating. It's on Amazon. It's on all the good bookstores in the UK. So grab Reading Between the Lines by Emma Bache. Emma, thanks for being on the show today. This has been amazing.
It's been awesome.
It's fun, isn't it?
Thank you. I've had such a good time. Thank you.
It's great. And don't forget, it's not too late to vote over here in the States. So if you haven't already, get out there and vote. And let's have a next pleasant 4 years, whoever's in power over the next 4 years. You take care of yourself. See you later, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.